What's going on, workforce? Brian here.
Chris here.
And today we're hopefully going to try to answer the question, especially as it relates to the summer of Final Fantasy XIV. Is it too late to play Final Fantasy XIV? Chris, you've been getting this question on stream, in comments, and more. Why don't you set up some context? Why don't you plug something? I don't care.
Yeah, we have to talk about it on stream Monday through Friday, 8 to 2. It comes up all the time. And we can make this video every 10, 12, 16 weeks. And there is a valid question to like, well, if that video is old, is it still true, right? Is there news where that's still true? And so you can't really make a video like you can how to get started in crafting and hope that it lives for any length of time, because people want to know, not is it worth it based on past information? Is it worth it right now, this moment? And the moment you push publish, it's old and off it goes. And now they want to know, yeah, but how about now? And so it's a really common question of, is it too late to get into Final Fantasy, especially when they just catch the headlines where we see things about the main story quest coming to a close in November.
And so, and that's typically where we'll say, yes, it's absolutely worth it. Like, here's the free trial. So Chris has the analogy, like the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And when we look at the summer, I actually was just talking with somebody who said that their girlfriend's joining them. They just started playing in April and they've already cleared patch 5.55. And they're so excited for the summer because that's going to give them the ability to try out other jobs. And I'm like, wow, how much have you played? And they said way too much. But it just told me like, yeah, like if you're having a great time, you know, like, there's no real fear at that point, especially if you're new, of taking your foot off the gas. Like if you're having a great time, keep playing, have fun. And we'll have a different discussion, especially about managing burnout closer to the expansion, because we still have quite a big chunk till Endwalker's official release in November 19th. But is it worth it to start today? And I think from that clear example alone, it's very possible to get caught up and be easily ready for Endwalker. If you're watching this and and it's November the 18th and you're thinking about whether you want to start, like, absolutely. But note that tomorrow you're not going to be in Endwalker. Like, that's just not going to be feasible. And if you do that kind of thing and you pull that kind of thing off, let me know who you are so I can follow you on Twitter, because I literally would have to just be very curious. Can't use a jump though.
I don't even think speed levelers can go that fast.
That's what
They've
I'm saying.
Played the game a million times. They know the quests in order. They're skipping the story. It's still more than it was like 40 hours through, I don't know, ARR to get into Heavensward. It's a long grind. It's a lot of gameplay. And so if you're trying to get through it rather than enjoy it, because you have a goal of getting caught up, which is valid. It's, like, that's what you're seeing ads for Shadowbringers and Endwalker. You're seeing streams and videos for Shadowbringers and Endwalker. You talk to a friend or a colleague, it's Shadowbringers and Endwalker.
Right.
You don't want to play those same devs, but 7 years prior. I want their 7 years of knowledge. I want their best stuff. Don't start me on the, he's like, hey, I made this really good cake. Yeah. Can I have some? Actually, I used to be a lot worse at making cake. Let me see if I can make one of those for you and we can start you there. No, like, I want the good stuff. I get that. I get wanting to jump right to where we're at. But even then, it's just a lot of time. Yeah. Shadowbringers was designed to be enjoyable with or without prior knowledge. Obviously, a deeper appreciation is possible if you have prior knowledge. That doesn't mean better. It just means deeper. And Endwalker is the exact same thing. And they've said, hey, if you want to have the deepest, fullest, broadest experience, you need to know every single piece of lore in this whole game. So anything you don't know, go get it. But we also designed this game just to be fun. So, like, no pressure.
Right. And so in the links of this description, we're definitely including a free trial link if you guys want to check out the free trial and get started. I think that's essentially the best. We've seen this question phrased in other ways, like, do you think I would enjoy this game? And that question's really difficult to answer, because especially it relates to, like, what kind of gamer are you? Like, is this your first MMO versus are you a MMO veteran and you've played every MMO except for 14? And in that case, like, for that individual, yes, like, just add this to your repertoire. Check it out. Start with a free trial. See how you feel. See how the game feels. Get through and that's, I hate advising people to get through, but get to Heaven's Word and that level post level 50 content to have a better feel for the battle content. The other thing you can do, especially if you're new, there's a content in this game that unlocks at level 17. It's called Palace of the Dead, or aka a deep dungeon. What that does is it doesn't necessarily give you the full look of the job like at level 80, but you can actually fast level that within that content because it has its own progression system, and have a level capped at level 60 character that you can experience. And so like if you're level 17, 18, you're like, how does this bard thing really work out? How does this job really work out and feel at level 60? You can actually go do that content, easily get your character leveled up a little bit, experience a fun piece of content that's a little bit different, and then go back to the MSQ in which that you know that you're not sitting here going like, well, I got this job to set 60 and I'm not a fan. You know, like I don't like how it feels. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think so. For the WoW players, that's most analogous to the old level 100 free trial starting zones. So it's not a good, you know, if you're somebody who's done in game, you're like, well, that's not exactly a picture of the game, but it is enough that like if you want to go try out 2 or 3 jobs and you're like, hey, I'm kind of, you know, I've got my main and I've been leveling that, but as more jobs unlock, as I get further into future expansions, I bought the game, I'm getting access to these other jobs. Do I want to go back and grab one? Am I on the right path? I would say stay the course with your main job no matter what. We don't know what it's going to be in 6.0. But that's just me. I just don't change my decisions. I don't even refund things if I don't like products. I'm like, well, made a mistake. As opposed to my wife will refund anything. It's like, I don't know about this. I've had it for 200 days and I just don't like it. Like she's the queen of that. I am like, nope, I bought it and it broke coming out of the package. What am I going to do? And so like, I'll stick with my job. But Palace of the Dead is that kind of level 100 free trial, especially when you're looking at like what to get as a second job, a third job. Mm-hmm. It's a great way to get a feel for that. It is not an accurate representation of the full content as a whole. It is not meant to be. It is a side piece of content that is meant to help you kind of fast track through some leveling within a unique space.
No, go ahead.
As for kind of what kind of people would like this game, I would say this game is most similar to other MMORPGs. The most similar feature list as far as what is filled out is World of Warcraft. But even then, you have to take every single feature on that list. You have to reorganize what order they went in and to what level of effort they put into executing each one. And so it turned out very, very different. But they started with the same ingredients. They just got there differently. And so it is going to feel a lot different. So on one hand, people who've loved previous Final Fantasy games, this is a good fit. On the other hand, mm-hmm. there are people who loved World of Warcraft. This is a good fit. But for both of those people, like, hey, just know it's not exactly where you came from. And so depending on why you loved where you're leaving, it still might have something abrasive about it. It still might have a bit of a learning curve. You're not just going to come in and be like, oh, I'm a Final Fantasy expert, never played an MMO, I'm going to crush this. You're going to have a little bit to learn about group content.
And that's actually one of the strengths that the game has. It's got years and years of content. Now, the challenge is that we've seen a couple battle system revisions. So finding something that was published in 2013, 2014 might not be your best bet in terms of like, how does this job play? How should it feel? But overall, like if you're not finding the guides and things that you need and you're really struggling, either we can hopefully help point you in the right direction, or that helps kind of gives us an idea of what does the community need that's not being made, and we can hopefully try to make those kind of guides for you guys. So just be sure that whether you're using YouTube or other tools to find the content you need, you can always ask if you need something from us so that we can hopefully help ease your transition into Final Fantasy XIV and make it more comfortable and hopefully more enjoyable. That's always kind of been our view, is just trying to like point you guys and promote games and things like that we really enjoy and that are having a good time. That's why we always recommend we start with a free trial, because it's just such a great free trial. Like it's just so, it's a no-brainer in my mind.
Go nuts.
Yeah, it's like you said that somebody played like 900 hours of the free trial before they purchased the game. Yeah.
That's not how I do it, but way to crush it. Way to get your value. Not a dime in, they're 900 hours. And so I think that's a very different way to go at it. You can do that. You could try every single job up to level 60. You can absolutely do that. You can also just blast straight through to 60. And as soon as one hits 60, be like, well, it says I can't go any further without buying Stormblood. Buy the complete edition. Off we go. I think, is it worth it? I think for me, assuming somebody's already kind of watched enough of this game, they've diagnosed enough of this game, they know somebody who's played this game to decide it's worth a shot. What are they going to have done? We're filming this in June. What are they going to have done between now and Endwalker to be minimum required? What is the minimum they're going to have cleared to join us?
Honestly, like outside of like we'll get to gear, but the minimum is MSQ. Like the MSQ is the gate. I see chat saying like you wish there was a way that you could kind of just you know MSQ off into Endwalker and have that kind of be a leveling thing. It's just not how it's going to be. Endwalker follows Shadowbringers, which follows Stormblood, etc. So just focusing on that. Now that like somebody described, I think on a Bellular clip saying that it's not leveling. The story isn't leveling. You're playing through a story, and at the end of it, you have a level cap character. Like Michael. Yeah, cool. That's how that is structured. And I was like, that's such a really cool thing. Think of it as that you're playing through a story, and at the end, now from a leveling perspective, then we have guides and things like that. But when we talk about gear, honestly, I would say probably 490 and up is going to be the maximum you need. 490 is the uncapped tome. It's that gear that you can just farm up for days unlimited. Now, the thing about farming up that gear is it's gonna naturally give you 510 gear. Like that's all related. Now the
top level dungeon drops 505. So I don't know that you could set out to get 490 and not accidentally overshoot.
So as far as it goes, when you step into Endwalker, like if you're at 530, you're gonna crush pretty much up to level cap to level 90 and or like 85 to 80, 87. Typically you might find a piece or two that drops from there that ends up being pretty solid. So like it's not even about like hitting endgame and being so stressed about grinding. What I would do if I was playing and I was in that situation, I'd pick another job. Like I would do a couple of roulettes, get some tomes, just kind of let those start stacking up because we do have such a curve until Endwalker's release. So congratulations on getting to cap. That's awesome. Go and pick a couple of other jobs. So the thing that I always say is that we're not just getting 2 jobs in Endwalker. We're getting a whole set, like 17 or 18 jobs. 20 now. 20
18 jobs. Current jobs are going to get some level of look at them, and we're getting 2 brand new ones.
Mm-hmm. And so with those 2 brand new jobs that we're getting, like they're also reimagining and rebalancing all the existing jobs, especially if you're getting a job in your role. Like I would take, if you really like melee and you love Dragoon, like make sure you got Samurai or make sure you got Monk, because we don't know what that's going to look like when Reaper is introduced. You might want to be excited about playing Reaper, but at the end of the day, if you're not and you're like, man, I'm really not happy with the changes to Dragoon, you want to be able to have some flexibility if you like that role, as well as we're getting a new healer. So from a healing perspective, Chris is leveling up their healers. It's a really strong time to sit here and just have a backup plan in case something changes that you don't actually prefer or enjoy.
So once you get to max level, if you have level 500 or higher, you're fine. You can go as high as you want. So max best in slots, you're getting 530s and a 535 weapon right now. But you can go as high as is fun. But anything above 500, you're fine. Now, the second thing you need to do as you level is underneath your main story quest in the top left corner of your UI, unless you've moved it around, is a little sub quest that pops up every couple of levels. That's your job quest. You need to do those as you go, especially for level 30, 50, 60, 70, because 70 finishes them up. 60, 50, those are end of expansions. So those are really important abilities. And at 30, you're actually going to swap your class for a job that is unbelievably important. Do it the moment it's available. If you were doing your main story quest and your job quest, you're honestly fine. That and getting level 500 is the minimum to get you into the expansion. You're all set. You've got one job. You're going to be fine. There's plenty of jobs that start out at higher level. The quests will feed you up into like the 520, 530 range almost immediately right out of the gate. You're going to have a great time. If you want to go beyond that, Brian started to talk about leveling other jobs, trying crafting, trying gathering, but you can also go do any quest out in the world that has a blue cross mark on it. If it has a blue mark on it, right? If it's a little blue cross, that means it unlocks something. That could be something as small as a goofy dance or emote. That could be something as important as another dungeon or a hard mode or anything like that. The blue quest mark there, that's a sign that it has something significant like it. Now you'll notice we didn't say any of the daily symbols. We didn't say any of the side quests. A lot of people come from games where quests are few and far between. In the main story quest, you gap out where you cannot progress until you've leveled more. So you need to stop and smell the flowers a little bit. That has been tuned out of existence. You really most likely won't run into it at all. I ran into it, I think, between level 4 and 5 on my alt. And so you don't really run into it. Should you, for some reason, gap out, doing your daily leveling roulette quest is probably your single best bet to pick up 1 free level, 2 free levels. You should be back on the pace. Do your main story, do your class quest, get caught up. Get yourself into I-500 gear, And then it's up to you what you do with any remaining time between now and November 19th.
Now, once the expansion does drop, there will be some gaps. So whenever you're current as a part of an expansion, you're not getting that army bonus. You're not, like, there's a couple of bonuses that you don't end up getting, especially like your server's not going to have, like, there's not a road to 90 buff. There'll be a road to 80 buff most likely. But when you start talking about that last, or, you know, whenever the new game comes out, that 10 levels, like, you will run into that experience of that gap. So just like Chris said, that's a good time to also be making sure you're taking advantage of that leveling roulette, etc., during your playthrough of the MSQ, so you don't end up hitting a story quest that's half a level of experience away from getting where you want to be. And that happens from time to time. But if you do your little roulettes and as a part of your MSQ stuff, you're going to be set. You'll be just fine. You won't hit it. You'll never see it. But it is because I think it's better tuned than it was back in ARR. But yeah, that's just something just to note if you're going in when you're going into Endwalker.
Now, this will tell you the story of the main story. This will tell you the story of your job, because you'll be doing your job quests, which end at 70 and give way to role quests. But there are a lot of other side stories. There are side stories around raid series that you're not required to do that I encourage you to go try. There's other job quests for other jobs as you do those. And then Brian mentioned leveling other jobs. If you want to level up other jobs, if you're on a preferred server, you have a road to 70 buff. If you pre-ordered Endwalker, you have an earring that's plus 30% to level 80. If you did your Hall of the Novice at level 15, that's plus 30% until level 30. And that's the content that you're synced to, not the level you are. So if you're level 31 and you hop into a 28 dungeon, that ring goes back to being effective. If you've consumed food, you can consume up to an hour buff, but it's 30 minutes per food. That's an extra 3%. You do have a rested experience, which games have as a catch-up mechanic. So your bar will turn blue for logging out anywhere with a moon. You'll gain that nice and fast. Am I missing any other forms of experience as far as kind of the big ways to make sure you're getting as much as possible? I think if you're taking advantage of all of those, if you're on a preferred server with the earring, the ring, and a food buff, and if a free company buff has effect for the job you're leveling, I believe I've been told by people that in the time it takes you to get to the top of MSQ, that they have leveled 4 jobs. So for the super ambitious, you can do that. You don't have to do that. Don't burn yourself out feeling like you've got to be super optimal. Enjoy your journey.
Just pointing out like different buffs, like free company buff. I thought we were talking about content buffs, but yeah, like challenge log, free company buff. In fact, actually, on Ginger Prime, I have the like the complete leveling guide going through every possible way of getting experience in this game, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. The reason I prioritize that level of horizontal content, that's why over like a relic, like I always focusing on leveling, because leveling I carry with me and I don't have to like go grind out like levels 10 through 70 or 80 again, whereas a relic becomes a piece of glamour. And I'm like, all right, like you know, whether it was worth it or not, that was, you know, one option. So that's where I end up usually kind of making sure I divert my time and attention into it and going from there. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I could get into speculation, and I'll just to tease it here at the end of the video. Maybe we'll make a video on it. But chat was saying like, is 7.0 Final Fantasy 17? And I would honestly say, like, based off of everything I've seen and everything Yoshi P said, I would not be surprised if they do something like that. Whether they change the number at the time.
His example is Final Fantasy 20.
Yeah, but his example of us going to the moon was 7.0. You know, so yeah, one day 14 won't make sense, but he's seeding that now. Like, I would say that 7.0 makes a really good case to sit here and be like, hey, here's our new engine. And then essentially, my hope is that they new Genesis it. So it's like you have 14 as it exists today, 2.0 through like, you know, 6.0. And then 7.0 is this new next chapter, new engine. Who knows? But they can always
super hypothetical,
super speculation. But like, that's the nice thing about Endwalker bringing an end to the story, is that it gives them a lot more flexibility to do something like that. Whether, again, it could also then be just going through the entire engine and just like, you know, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. What
we do know in the interview on that subject, what we do know in interviews is that Yoshi P has said instead what he considers is the finale of the story to invite us into a new story in 6.1 is that this is not the end of the game. This is not the end of his involvement in the game. This is his life's work, and he does not intend to put it down. The CEO was there when he said that, and so they believe that is the plan. I believe that was said at the showcase. And in a later interview, he said that actually the reason he wanted to create a finale is that it becomes overwhelming for a new player to come in late and feel like they have to catch up with this thing way off in the distance that's still moving, that you're chasing the finale to a TV show that's not done putting out new seasons. So he wants to create a hard end to this because it's not only an appropriate time within the narrative, but also just from a content consumption standpoint, that's an invitation to say, hey, we're going into Game of Thrones last season. Let's assume we haven't seen it yet. And we're all really excited. That's a great time to go binge that show and catch up to be part of something. And he wanted to tell us now because Endwalker is going to be 10 years of story paying off. And for brand new players, you have the ability to catch up and join people who've been on a 10-year journey. Join the community, have a blast. There are a number of people in here that I see regularly, not only in our stream, but in others. There's some content creators here in the chat. Is a huge number of people that want to welcome you in as a new player. Even if you're a content creator in another space, come over and stream that journey. We love our sprouts. We love our new players. It is not too late to join. Even if Endwalker was going live the day you see this, you can still join us. It's just that when content arrives and is brand new, there's something special about being there on day one. So we're trying to encourage people while there's still time to be there for day one of Endwalker, which is a huge amount of content. But remember, 6.1 is going to be a big moment. 6.2 is going to be a big moment. There's a lot of big moments still to be shared.
I think it's also like from 6.1 and beyond, just to kind of talk about that before we wrap up the video, is that it's unknown territory. It's unknown territory. I see Mighty talking about like, wait, 6.0 is the end? Yeah, like 6.0 ends. It's done. 6.1, we don't know what is. We have no idea, but it's happening. The game's not shutting down.
Yeah, game's not shutting down. The narrative arcs are coming to a close after all of A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblooded, Shadowbringers. We are wrapping up the story, whatever that means. That could turn out to be the world's biggest, and the story's continuing. Like, it could be nothing. That could also be as large as you want to speculate. Like, we have no idea. You are a brand new player is just as caught up as we are. Our speculation has more of the vocab words than yours, but we don't know any more than you. It's just guessing. And so it's a really exciting time to come join us. And it is absolutely not too late.
Right. So if you are still here with us, guys, be sure to start and play, and hopefully you have a good time. If there's anything we can do to help make that transition and that experience better, feel free to ask. But that's going to wrap up this video, guys. For Work to Game, my name's Brian.
My name's Chris.
Thanks for watching. Hopefully you have a fantastic day. Hopefully we'll see you next time. But until then,
take care.